Over here in England, a lot of people are drinking beer tonight because to set the scene, we're recording this just after England reached the quarterfinals by beating Germany. And I've literally just got back from Wembley reporting for NBCSports.com, and it was an amazing atmosphere, a brilliant occasion, and all day here and all week, every radio station, TV station have been playing It's Coming Home. Everyone's telling Gareth Southgate what to do. There's flags everywhere. There's a real party atmosphere. It feels like a home tournament, really. And England have played all 4 of their games at Wembley now, and everyone's getting a bit carried away. Apart from me, even today, the euphoria, I nearly got wrapped up in it. And I know Andy and Nick have been trying to get me wrapped up in it the whole time, but we'll come to that. So let's focus first on the first big topic on Pro Soccer Talk this week, and that's looking at the quarterfinal bracket. It's now fully confirmed. There's some great games coming up, and we'll touch on what happened across the last 16 as well, because so much happened, gents, in that incredible last few days we've witnessed. So to look at the bracket and how things are looking now going into the latter stage of the tournament, we have Belgium against Italy in one quarterfinal and Switzerland against Spain in the other. And the winner of those 2 games will face off in the semi-final at Wembley Stadium. And on the other side of the bracket, we now know that Ukraine will play England in Rome, and the winner of that game will play the winner of Czech Republic, Denmark, who play in Baku, and the winner will play in the semi-final at Wembley. So, Nick Mendola, what do you make of those 4 quarterfinal ties? And one side of the bracket looks a lot tougher than the other right now, doesn't it?
It does, which is why, Joe, since it's obviously coming home, I see you've made room over your left shoulder for the trophy. So I like that you're dusting and getting prepared for it. There's a great spot for it, and we're looking for that. Feel like I have to apologize to all the England fans who I have said, yeah, you'll find a way to blow it, and maybe they still will. But I'm really, really, really interested to see how much expectations have changed. I feel like if England was popped into somewhere in the bracket and it was France or it was Spain and a hard road to get there, not that these won't be hard, Gareth, relax, we know. I feel like a lot of people would have been like, you know what, good, let's win a knockout round game, had a good tournament last time, and just hope for the best. And now anything short of the final feels like a crazy mistake and slip up. And the guys doing it, Joe, Raheem Sterling's life has been absolutely insane. Like, if they're going to make a movie about Vardy, they ought to make one about Sterling and some of the things that he's gone through. And Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips coming from, sorry, West Ham fans and Leeds fans, smaller-ish sides in terms of how they get the microscope put on them and just showing just how good they are. Remember last year, the first we heard of Phillips was when Leeds was getting promoted and Liverpool was, oh, we might go after this guy. So it's just been neat to follow all those subplots, that it hasn't been Harry Kane and Harry Maguire. It's been other guys.
It has been. Andy, I know you've been on the England bandwagon for many years, not just this summer. What do you think? Let's focus on Ukraine, England, and what England have been doing so far in this tournament. What has your big takeaway been on the 3 Lions?
Yeah, as I said a few weeks ago, I do this every major tournament, and I don't really know why. I think I just look at all the pieces and the parts that are in the squad and available to whoever the manager is at the time and say, well, that clearly should be one of the 3 or 4 best teams going into a tournament. Now, obviously, for many, many years, it's not worked out that way for England. I know they got to a World Cup semifinal last time around, and so that was big progress for them. And I think they're building on that now. The interesting thing is, because it's the names that sell you on England, but for this team in this tournament, it's been anything but the big names and the the flair players that you come into the tournament thinking, okay, well, this, Harry Kane will just carry this team because of the season that he just had for Tottenham. He's done essentially nothing for this team through 4 games of the tournament. And the fact that they are where they are and in such a commanding spot on the good side of the bracket, if you will, it's a testament to Gareth Southgate, the idea, the plan, the team, the tactics, the squad, the togetherness, everything that he's fostered over the last couple of years, and through tough times during the pandemic as well. It's kind of coming home to roost at the moment. They've not been fun to watch. They've been hard to watch, honestly, at times. And now England they're the pragmatic team at a major tournament, and they're the team that you're looking at and saying, you can shake your head, but they are the pragmatic team who knows exactly how they want to go out there and play. They have a plan from the start. You can question Southgate for 60 minutes, because it doesn't look great and they're not creating a ton of chances. But then you look at the bench and you have Jack Grealish to come on, and you have Marcus Rashford sitting there. You have Jadon Sancho sitting there. There's so much talent that can come into a game if they can kind of not micromanage it, but get it to a point late into the second half where things are even or they've got a slight advantage. And then they've got a huge advantage with what they can bring off of the bench. So it's been fun to watch Southgate kind of, maneuver so far through this tournament. And the way that he's done, it's not how we want to see it, but it's working.
I just had to laugh earlier when you said it hasn't been fun to watch England. For me, it never really is fun. It hasn't been over my entire lifetime. But just to paint the picture here, okay, so I've been at Wembley throughout all the group stage games for England, and then the last 16 victory against Germany. And the optimism levels have been quite high considering what they achieved in Russia in the 2018 World Cup, getting to the semi-finals, getting close to a final. So there was a lot of pressure, and Southgate's under a lot more pressure, I think, this tournament than the last one, understandably so. And he has stuck to his guns in terms of not playing Jadon Sancho, not playing Jack Grealish from the start in most of the games. And you have to hand it to the guy. He's got his tactics spot on. Against Germany in the last 16 game, switching to a 3-4-3 formation, that was very brave. And I was in his press conference after the game, and he said, you basically live and die by those decisions. If it goes for you, that's great. But if it goes wrong, then everyone's going to point a finger at you. Why did you change the formation? Why didn't you pick Jack Grealish? And I'm surprised by how well England have managed the situation. Jordan Pickford has been excellent in goal, which is a big shock. Defensively, the only team at Euro 2020 not to concede a goal yet, which is a big reason why they can almost play within themselves and then rely on quality in the final third. But yeah, I'm still not getting there on the bandwagon that it's coming home. But being at Wembley Stadium around just over 40,000 fans, it honestly felt louder and a better atmosphere than when there's been 90,000 fans in the stadium. I mean, the fans against Germany are just so involved. They were so desperate for success. And traveling around England, and there's a lot of apathy towards the national team, rightly or wrongly, over the years. But now you feel like everyone's connected. Everyone's all in on this team. They like the team. They like the manager for the most part, even though some people would say he's too negative. And there is something special building. And you guys aren't going to get me to come round yet, because you nearly did there. But the euphoria of being wrapped up, I got in my car this morning, drove to Wembley, put on some music. Top 50 UK hits came up. It's Coming Home started playing, and I actually listened to the song for the first time all the way through, and it got me in the mood for the day. And yeah, there's something special here right now going on, and I hope England can see it through, because as we said, they had the Ukraine quarterfinal. No disrespect to Ukraine, but England will be heavy favourites for that. And then they have one of Czech Republic or Denmark in the semi-finals if they get through. And that's at Wembley in front of 60,000 fans. And in the final, if they get through, is at Wembley in front of 60,000 fans. So it's all lined up for England to waltz into the final. But we all know it's not going to be as easy as that, especially me. Trust me, I know they're going to find some way to mess it up. But Nick, we have to focus on the other quarterfinals as well. But any more in England before we move on to Spain, Switzerland, Belgium, Italy, and Denmark against the Czech Republic?
No, and yes, I will admit that I usually I root against the big kind of media storylines, right? So England always, it's a hard ask for me to get behind them. But today I literally realized as I was watching Sterling celebrate that maybe my hated Toronto Maple Leafs in hockey, if they won a cup, because maybe I would think some sort of relief for them. I've never thought I would feel that way. And with England, there is that. And imagine this, every nation left. I'm not trying to say that there is an English exceptionalism going on here, Joe, but every nation left is coming out of one of the worst years or most challenging years of their lives. And it's like, I love going to see Bruce Springsteen live, right? I love the same song. I want to hear it every time. But the next time I see him and he plays it, the euphoria, I know my eyes are going to well up with tears. And when they shoot to the crowd at these venues, you see it. You see it in the faces of all of these fans. And I was thinking of you today as an Englishman covering this game, how you must have been so conflicted, because the emotion, again, biologically, guys, we're coming out of something absolutely horrendous that took a lot of lives. And I just think maybe that's why I celebrated the USA win over Mexico even more. Maybe that's why the next World Series win will mean more to my team or to your team. And I actually am so happy for you guys who get to experience this and those people in the stadium, because we missed out on a lot.
It's true. It's true. And Southgate spoke exactly about that point, Nick, that they've given the fans that moment, the fans inside the stadium and all across the country, you know, in pubs, celebrating with their friends again and being able to do that after, you know, a long, long road to get to this point. So, yeah, that there's an added, you know, bonus or motivation, I think, for all of the nations left now in Euro 2020 to do something special in this year of all years over the last, you know, 18 months or so after what's happened. So, yeah, really well put there. And let's move on to the next game, Spain, Switzerland. I don't think any of us would have had this one really in the quarterfinals, right? Because Spain, what a game against Croatia. Probably the best game of the tournament so far. That's not a stretch to say. I think an 8-goal thriller in Copenhagen with Alvaro Morata on the score sheet. Spain 3-1 up, then coughing up 2 late goals to Croatia to 3-3, extra time, couple of great goals. Chaos throughout, a wild own goal. We were on a call, Andy, when that own goal happened, and you went absolutely berserk with that. So, Andy, I'm going to let you have this. Spain, Switzerland. I mean, there's a clear front runner there. I think we all agree Spain should win, but Switzerland, to knock off World Cup champs France, the way they didn't just defend. They had a lot of going forward themselves as well. So this is going to be a really intriguing game, isn't it?
Yeah, resilient would be the word I would use to describe that Switzerland performance against France. And, you know, not to, you know, pat myself on the back here at all, but you asked for dark horses before the tournament. I gave you Switzerland as one. We'll get to the other one here in a little bit. They might still be alive in the tournament. But they were very resilient the way that they fought back. They've been very good defensively. And we were treated to a little preview of what Switzerland would be at this tournament when the U.S. men's national team played them in a friendly leading up to that. And I came away, you know, as kind of disappointed or frustrated with the U.S. as I was in that game. Just kind of in the back of my mind was, Switzerland looked pretty good. Let's keep an eye on them in this tournament. And you look at the group that they had and say, well, they should probably get out of that. And then you get into the knockout rounds. And as we just talked about with England, anytime you've got a team that's as solid defensively as they have been, and they put the numbers in midfield the way that Switzerland have done. And Granit Xhaka was absolutely, I mean, he could not have been any better in that game against France. And his, Arsenal probably made 20 million off of that performance alone when he leaves this summer. So it's going to be a very, very difficult out, I think. Switzerland will be for Spain, but they showed, I think, you know, progressing through this tournament. I think they're probably the team that has improved the most from game 1 to game 4 at this point. They had the struggles putting chances away early. They're not really struggling to put chances away now. At this point, it's a little bit more open. It's a little bit more chaotic than the short possession we're used to with Spain, but it seems to work for them.
Absolutely. And Nick, any thoughts on Spain, Switzerland there before we move on to Belgium, Italy?
You know, Andy literally hit my 2 thoughts. It made me feel better about the U.S. loss. And Xhaka, I mean, I think this is just the story with him. If you're going to build your team around your midfield around him, I think go for it, right? Have somebody who's going to be behind him if he takes his risks. Have forwards and wingers who can take his sprayed passes and allow that he's going to miss the net a few times with audacious shots. But Switzerland is very much built around him being their best player. And it's actually really fun to watch. I wanted to see France move on. I had enjoyed watching Pogba kind of unleashed in a similar way, maybe. There might be something to that as well. And Mbappe and Benzema as a terrific villain. So I'm a little stung that they're out, but that makes me think Switzerland's their only loss, I think, in the last year is to Italy in this tournament. So, and they've played Spain twice in Nations League and it's been close. So could be a good game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for Spain as well, as Andy said, they're on fire now going forward, and that's worrying for every team they come up against in the latter stages of the tournament, because Pedri ran the show, such a young, talented player from Barcelona, brilliant to step into that, you know, level and just dictate the tempo. And obviously Koke is there, got a lot of experience, as Palaqueta, and up top Morata. Yes, he gets a lot of stick, but he finished superbly. And for me, when I watch him, it's his hold-up play in the Spanish team. He brings Ferran Torres and Sarabia and all the other attacking players into play. He connects so well with them and creates space for them. He's so unselfish. So, yeah, Spain, I think, will edge this one. But, Yeah, it's going to be a great game against Switzerland. Okay, Nick, Belgium, Italy. I know you've been on Belgium since the start, but Belgium, defensively were very good. Beat Portugal, a little bit lucky, but they deserve that luck. I think by being well organised, and that's not something necessarily we'd associate with Roberto Martinez as a coach. So, what do you see for that game? Because people would probably say it's 50-50, right, between Belgium and Italy going into this one.
Yeah, do you know that game that shows up on your calendar, on your radar, and you're like, can they both win? Can they both win? I've rooted for Italy since before I even knew the U.S. had a team. So for me, there's an emotional tug, especially because they play, we've said it on this show the last couple of weeks, they play a complete game right now. It isn't boring. It's fun. It's physical. It's fast sometimes, and they can slow it down as well. There's a lot of the right buttons being pushed, but Belgium, you just want to celebrate that. You want to celebrate them the way that you celebrated Spain at the early part of the last decade, just because they have every piece you can want. They can roll out Tielemans and De Bruyne, although we have to see how fit he is, who we've talked about a lot, how good Tielemans is on this space as well. So listen, now that Belgium has exposed Cristiano Ronaldo as a fraud, whose nation can only win tournaments when he's injured, and fake coaching on the sidelines, I think we can all agree that Spain is doing well because they don't have any Real Madrid players. So I'm just kidding, guys. I can't wait for this game. I think I want Italy to win, but I will use Belgium making me right as my fallback if they win.
Andy, I mean, Italy haven't really played anyone yet, right? That's the only problem. When they did, Austria took them, to extra time and made it very, very tough for them.
Yeah, I would say playing Switzerland and beating them there in the group stage it's not nothing at this point, and they did it pretty comfortably, if I remember correctly as well. So I'll give them a little bit of that. I am curious to see. I don't think they haven't played anybody tough thing is really about how good they are. I think it's about stylistically how they're going to try to play. Now that they're coming up against one of those big teams, does Roberto Mancini suddenly change it from what has worked through these first 4 games? That will be my big question going into this game, because you can look at that central midfield at Marco Verratti, Jorginho, and Nicolo Barella and say that's the best midfield 3 at this tournament. And I don't think anybody, based on what we've seen so far, would probably put up much of an argument against that. It's also pretty defensive in the way that it lines up. And so when you come up against a team that's got the attacking talent that Belgium does, and those nerves start to creep in just a little bit in the couple of days leading up to the game, we'll see if Mancini, the steely nerve is there to continue to play in that way and give the freedom to those front 3. I think the indicator will be, is it the same 2 wide attackers? Is it Berardi? Is it Insigne on the other side? If it's not, and he switches to kind of a 3-man back line and gets 5 in the midfield, we could be in for 1, a boring game, and 2, I think probably Italy going out of this tournament, because their power right now is to be aggressive and to put the other team on the back foot. They're one of the few teams that's really doing it and doing it well at Euro 2020.
That's true, and like the subs coming off have made a huge impact for Italy, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can continue to do that. And for Belgium, De Bruyne has other injury concerns, but even without those 2 superstars, they have enough in attack to dominate most teams, which is ridiculous when you think about the strength of their squad. So what a game that should be. And then Denmark against the Czech Republic. Denmark are just blowing teams away at this point. I mean, they hammered Wales, looked so good defensively, but then in attack, Poulsen, so many Dolberg, so many players, stepping up in different games to deliver throughout this tournament. And of course, we have to kind of think with Denmark, it's almost destiny, right? At this point, with what happened to Christian Eriksen, the extra motivation, those players, the fans have. Nick, Denmark, Czech Republic, do we give the Czech Republic a chance? Because they knocked off the Netherlands, and, Souček and others are really, Thomas Hollis was brilliant in that game as well, and Patrick Schick scoring goals. So they're not going to be any pushovers, but I don't know. This is another 50-50 on the flip of a coin between Denmark and the Czech Republic, right?
Yeah, I just think there's a dark horse quotient there that they are just holding very close to themselves, that we saw. And we've mentioned before that West Ham and Slavia Prague and some of the seasons that those players had, they're used to this situation. That said, Denmark is without Christian Eriksen, and we're not even talking about the horrible thing that happened to him. He's an incredible player. And I think that levels the playing field quite a bit.
It really does. It really does. So Over at Pro Soccer Talk and NBCSports.com, we'll keep you covered throughout the Euros. We're at the quarterfinal stage now. And 3 gents you can see on the screen will keep you updated with analysis, news, how to watch these games. It's been crazy so far. I feel like the last few weeks have just flown by. And now we're really getting into the business stage of this tournament. Cannot wait. And I'm not going to say it's coming home until it literally has arrived at the doorstep at Wembley and the trophy is in Harry Kane's hands. So you can work on that for the next few weeks, lads. But anyway, it's been fun. It's been a fun tournament so far.